let's say prices go down, okay, but you already have your house, you already own your house. Eventually, it's gonna go up. Now, let's say the opposite occurs, okay, as prices go up, you already have your house. So either way, you're going to win. Now, if you're planning to buy a house today to make a lot of money in the next couple of years, that's not gonna happen.
Hello and welcome. Today we're taking a look at the housing market as well as affordability and home buying in this economy. We'll be taking a look at some of the economic and social factors influencing the market in this episode. We'll also look at the impact of Airbnb and hedge funds on the market and home buyers. Here to explain all of this is Moises Olivares. He's a seasoned realtor based out of California who has worked in the industry since 2017. Moises, thank you for being here today.
No, thank you for inviting me and having me here.
No problem. Before we get into today's topic, let's do a check on the housing market here in Utah and in California for comparison. At last report, the average home price in Utah is $522,754. That's a 2.4% increase over the past year, as reported by Norada Real Estate Markets this month, which is July 2024. In California, the average home price is $904,210 as of April of this year, which is up 11.4% from the same time last year. That's according to a May 2024 report from the California Association of Realtors. Moises, I'd like to ask you, what determines the price of a home and whether that price will go up or down?
So all depends, of the areas, depends of the size of the lot, the size of the house, and some people see probably not the current condition of the property, but the potential that it has. Like maybe they can build a second unit or expand the house. So those are factors that make people, submit offers either for the listed price above asking or a lot above asking price. So I can tell you that the market here in California is kind of mixed because there are areas where you can find properties that are in the market and you submit an offer, let's say $5,000, $10,000 asking under asking price, and they accept the offer. But there are other places like the one I just mentioned where you have to go above asking because otherwise you will not have a chance to get an offer accepted. So California, it's a hot market where everybody wants to live, especially the areas close to to these nice places like San Diego, Los Angeles. There are many places that where the weather is very very good, and everybody wants to be here. But yeah, there are places like we have houses in these areas that is known like the high desert, where it's very hot. It's very hot. You can find big houses in those areas for still good prices, 400,000. You mentioned at the beginning that the average price in California it's above $900,000. There are areas where you can still find houses for $380,000, but only a few people are willing to move to those areas because the weather is extreme. It's very cold during winter and it's very hot during the summer. So there are different places in California where you still can find houses. But what I can tell you that in most of the places where where people want to live, the market is really hot, the inventory is short, and that is causing still people to have to offer more than the house is being offered in the market. And that's how the market is here in the area where I am. And honestly, people want houses, want prices to go down. We as realtors and brokers want also that to happen, but I don't see it. I don't see it yet. It could happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, but I don't see it coming because even though rates are high and prices are high, people are still going out and willing to offer more for the houses that are in the market. We've seen increases, like you mentioned, over 10% from last compared to last year, and I think that's crazy. It is crazy, and I don't know if there's going to be a point. where that's going to have an effect, and prices will probably start dropping. But I don't see it in the next 6 months. I don't see it.
According to a list from Kiplinger's from June 2024, it lists the top 5 housing markets in the US, with 3 of those markets in California. Now, meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, Narada Real Estate Markets list of from April 2024 lists the bottom 5 housing markets, with 3 of those markets located in Michigan. Since you're obviously more familiar with the California market, and you probably already said this, but just to reiterate, what about it sets it apart from other housing markets in the country to make it so desirable for some home buyers? You said the climate, you said the proximity to places like downtown. What else is there?
Well, as you probably know, well, it's well known that California is the strongest economy, and has the strongest economy in the U.S. And you find a lot of people wanting to come here, not only because of the climate, but also because of job opportunities they have. And you find a lot of tech companies. So all those things make the cities more expensive, and that is, in a way, is good that you said, you mentioned that, because the people that work in those type of jobs, they make a lot of money, so they don't care to pay a lot of money for a house, and that makes prices to go up. For example, Inglewood. In Inglewood, they built not too long ago one of the biggest stadiums, and that made houses to go up. And they went from $400,000 to $800,000 in less than a decade. So that's double the price. And not a lot of people wanted to move to those areas, but you also have the airport very close. So you have all those advantages, and that's what make people say, okay, I'm gonna be working here and making good money. I have the airport very close. I have everything close to me, so I don't care to pay, let's say, $50,000 above asking price. But then the next house that comes in the market is gonna, be listed for $50,000 more than it's supposed to be a month or two ago. So that makes prices obviously go up, because, as you know, this is offer and demand, and the more people that are willing to pay for a house, the more the prices are going to go up. And that's something that is hard to control, because as long as people keeps buying, the prices are gonna keep going up. And the main problem here, and I don't think that is only here in California, but probably nationwide, is that people are not thinking to sell because they have a low interest rate, and they paid, I would say, 100 between 100 to $200,000 less, five between 5 to 7 years ago. So who in their right mind is going to sell a house where they're paying less than rent is right now? See, I ask people, because my job consists in going out and ask people, hey, would you like to sell your home? And if you sold your home, where would you move? And they're like, are you okay? I have a 2.5% interest rate, and I got my house for $350,000. My house is worth $650,000 right now. So where am I gonna go? I'm not gonna sell my house and buy another one to pay more taxes and pay a higher interest rate. So it makes no sense. And they're right. When they tell me that, I'm like, what am I gonna say? I mean, that is what really is affecting the market affordability right now, because a lot of people can't qualify for the loans, because not only the prices are high, but the interest rates are high, which makes monthly payments high as well. And you have to make a lot of money in order for you to qualify. If we talk about Los Angeles County, you need to be making 130,000 or more. Orange County, 150,000. San Diego, $160,000. So that is what's happening right now here in California.
I think a lot of those properties, a lot of the like I said, a lot of the most expensive markets are in places like Orange County, where the medium home price is like 2 million or above. Um, and just maybe this, just out of curiosity, who is buying those homes, and what is the inventory in places like Orange County, where, like I said, it's one of the top housing markets in the United States.
Right. Yeah. Actually, the inventory is short almost everywhere, and you're right. And that is a question that I always get. Who are buying those houses? Regular people. You have regular people in most of the cases buying those houses. And sometimes I hear some of my clients or people that I speak with daily say like, who is crazy enough like to buy a house for that much of money? But there are people who make good money. They have their own companies. They generate a good amount of money a year, and that allows them, to buy this kind of houses. And we also have to consider that the main probably goal of people is to buy a house, knowing that prices, the trend is prices to still go up. So the way I see it is people say, okay, I'm gonna buy something right now, and if the rates go down, which is expected to happen, nobody knows when, but it is expected that to happen, then I can refinance, lower my monthly payment. But by that time, my house is going to be worth probably not a lot more, but it's going to be worth more for sure, because as the time passes, the prices go up. Right now, we think probably $700,000. It's a lot to pay for a house, but from here to 15 years, it's gonna be like, oh, I remember when prices were very down. I mean, very very cheap, $700,000. Now they're worth 1.2 million, and we've seen it in San Francisco. San Francisco is one of the most expensive places. And what caused those prices to go up was something that I mentioned before, which is the tech companies. When they started moving to those areas, people started buying houses without thinking how much they had to pay for the house. They just wanted to buy something. And when prices reach $700,000, honestly, I thought prices are gonna go down in the area, because it's hard to afford $700,000. But it occurred the opposite. See, prices kept going up. Right now in San Francisco, you find houses for 1.2, $1.4 million, $2 million, and we're not talking about big houses. We're talking about regular homes, small size, less than 1,000 square feet, with very small lots, and they're still going for 1.2, 1.5, 2, even $2 million.
I want to go back to a point that you that were making earlier about tech companies, especially you had mentioned Elon Musk. Elon Musk announced on Tuesday through X, which was formerly known as Twitter, that he plans to move his SpaceX company from California. When something like that happens, how does that affect how the housing market in the area where the company's at?
Well, I think although it is something big, because of course those companies generate a lot of employment. Um, I think that since prices are already up, these people most likely they're gonna sell their homes. But since we're short in inventory, it's not gonna have a big impact probably in prices, when it comes to prices. But until that happens, we're gonna know what's gonna happen. But I can based on the numbers that I see, even though if all these people who bought a home, like let's say 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, what they're gonna do is most likely go with the company. So they're gonna have to sell their homes. But since we don't have a lot of inventory, people are going still gonna be willing to pay whatever they ask for their properties. That's how I see it. Because probably the number of people working in those tech companies are not, enough like to cause an impact in the prices. So we're not gonna be like flooded of houses for sale in the market. So I don't think that will have a big impact. Probably when it comes to the economy of California, maybe because that is a big company, and of course they pay a lot of taxes, and that's gonna cause probably a little bit of damage to the economy, we could say. But when it comes to real estate market, I don't think it will have a big impact.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the impact of Airbnb on the housing market. And for anyone who may not be aware, Airbnb works when homeowners rent their homes like hotels or short term rentals for travelers or people who just need a temporary place to stay. And the homeowners do so for profit. Now, property rentals like Airbnb, impact housing prices in the following ways. Number one, they can drive up property values by transforming a normally residential area into more of a tourist location. And the property owners who list their homes on Airbnb for these short term stays, they reduce the number of long term rental homes, which drives up rental prices. Investors can buy properties and flip them and convert them into Airbnbs, which can then influence neighborhoods like we previously just mentioned, while also making homes less available for people looking to buy a home. So, again, reducing inventory. And aside from home prices, Airbnbs also impact local infrastructure like waste management, public transportation, and emergency services by contributing little, if anything, in taxes so that these services can be available. Money from Airbnb rentals gets divided between the property owner and Airbnb. Cities and municipalities get some revenue from certain taxes like occupancy taxes and licensing fees, but because of the decentralized nature of Airbnb, it is difficult to collect revenue from these sources. So, given that, Moises, how do Airbnb rentals affect the overall stability of the housing market, and what steps are being taken to address these challenges to make sure that there's equitable housing available for everyone?
When it comes to how those that type of business affects the prices, I don't think it has a big impact because people buy the houses based on the current prices and they decide what to do with it. Actually, I know a lady that rents homes that are not theirs. She just pays a monthly rent, but she puts them in for rent through Airbnb, and that's a way for her to make extra money. And what she tells the owners is that I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna keep the property, in a good condition, and in exchange, I'm going to pay you a little bit more than the regular rent is in the area. Uh, but yeah, a lot of people are doing this because, like you said, they don't have to contribute to, in this case, a lot to, to the city, and pay a lot of taxes. And some people are making. I read somewhere that some of them make above $100,000 a year, which is, more than an average salary. And all they do is just buy a house or two, rent them out, and then, make good money out of it. But it is affecting a lot to, in this case, to to hotels and businesses that used to make a lot of money, because it is a lot of, actually, including myself. Not too long ago, I went to Seattle, Washington, to visit my brothers, and I looked online, and instead of renting a hotel, I decided to rent a house for 4 days, and I think I paid about a thousand something, and yeah, and actually it was a good experience. It was something really good. So how is that affecting the real estate market when it comes to either make prices go up or down? I haven't seen an impact on that, honestly, because most of the houses are still being bought by regular people. And I read somewhere that in Nevada, I think, there's this company who bought a few hundred of houses. If I'm not wrong, it was like 3,000 something houses, but that is still considered a low number compared to the number of sales per year. So in a way, it's not affecting a lot, because a lot of people think, oh, companies are coming in and buying a lot of houses. Actually, there are ways that the in this case, HUD has put in place to avoid that from happening. And like right now, this is in a way. as something that could play in favor of people who wants to buy their first home. So for the first 30 days, only people who are going to be occupying the property can buy the foreclosure a foreclosure home. Before it was, normal for investors to come in and jump in and buy those type of houses, then fix them up and then sell them. Now is the opposite. Now the banks cannot sell the property that has been just foreclosed to an investor. It has to be sold to someone that's going to occupy the property for at least 1 year.
So that's the banks deciding that, right?
Right. Yeah, that was a change that was made not too long ago, and yeah, that's what's happening. And so now, when a foreclosure comes in the market, it has to be bought by someone that signs an affidavit stating that they're going to be occupying the property. An investor can't buy it.
Is that only in California or is this nationwide?
This I have understood is only in California for now. I don't know. I'm not aware of other markets if that applies too. But I know in California, that's how it works right now. So that's something that is being put in place to prevent investors to make prices to go up, because before they would buy the house, put 15 20 thousand dollars in the house, and sell it for 50 75 thousand, $100,000 more. So now, if someone wants to buy those houses, they have to prove that they're first-time home buyers. They don't own a house, and they're going to sign the affidavit stating they're going to occupy the property for at least 1 year.
Going back to the hedge funds, the in Las Vegas and Nevada, and the accusation that there was, because what happened was there were a couple of bills that were introduced in the state legislature, Nevada state legislature, by Senator Jackie Rosen and Congressman Stephen Horsford, that addressed this issue of hedge funds buying houses in bulk and reselling them. There was a study that was done by MetLife Investment Management that showed that hedge funds could own up to 40% of all homes in the US by 2030. These sales would allow private companies to manipulate the market and make it more difficult for home buyers. But you're saying that the impact of that, it's the impact is not big, or it's not affecting uh, the prices. It's not affecting the market. Could you kind of expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I read something specifically about Nevada, where this company, like you said, they've been buying houses, but at the end it was only a little bit over 3,000, which does not have a big impact. But I have heard of companies that are buying a lot of houses, and what you just said is correct. I have also seen that a lot of these companies are doing that as if they were investing, in the stock market. That's how they see it. Yeah, that's how they see it. So they're like, because they know what's happening with the real estate market. So they know that if they buy something right now for a price, they keep those properties and rent them out while prices keep going up. It's going to get to the point where they're going to be able to sell all those houses and make tons of money, which is what they do with the stock market. They buy shares and they just hold those shares, wait for them to go up, sell them, and then that's kind of a game. So they're trying to do the same thing with the real estate market. But apparently, not only people, but some people that can, in a way, control that are putting uh, laws into place so that doesn't happen, because that will close the opportunity to regular people to buy a house, and then the real estate market will be basically controlled and managed by big companies, which they have done in the past. Like when the 2008 crisis happened, a lot of investors came in, bought homes. Um, uh, they just waited for the prices to go up again and then sold them to regular people. But there were companies that were buying 100, 300 homes per month in cash. A lot of people, I mean, a lot of investors were, jumped into that opportunity, and that was good for them, but not good for regular people because prices started going up and up and up and up, and now people are paying double than back then, and sometimes even not double, but like 125, 130%. Than they in this case these investors bought those homes for let's say $250,000, and they sold them for $500,000, so they double their investment. And then from there, people, since we've been short in inventory for a few years now, so now people, regular people, are the ones that have been in charge of making prices to go up. In this case, these people are regular buyers. But if we go back and talk about these companies who want to in a way control the real estate market, I think that's dangerous, because then that will end what's known as the American dream, to own your own house.
What can you tell us about misinformation and disinformation in the housing market or about the housing market, and where can people go to get accurate information about it?
I would say Realtor.com is the website that keeps, in this case, a record of everything that is happening. They have the most accurate information. Actually, even for the consumer, that is the website that is recommended because it usually usually have the information every 15 minutes. It's been updated. So whatever you see in there is more accurate because they're the ones that are seeing everything that is happening in the different areas. So if you go there, they're gonna tell you what's happening with everything related to real estate, and this is nationwide. So Realtor.com, that will be the website to go to. Honestly, I never believe anything I see in the internet. Like Abraham Lincoln said, uh, someone said, don't believe everything you see in the internet and they have the link of picture. So yeah, when I read something, I'm like, okay, let me check. Never believe anything. Go and check. Now, talk to your local realtor. Usually, we know what's happening. We're supposed to be truthful to people. I know that doesn't apply 100%, but most of the realtors and brokers, are professionals and do tell the truth to people. One of the things I tell people, hey, what are you gonna find here with me? Is honesty 100%. If I need to tell you something that you need to know, even if that means that you're going to cancel the transaction, I have to tell you. That's why you trust me, because you hire me, because you trust that I'm gonna be honest and truthful to you, and that's exactly what I have to do. It's not easy sometimes, because sometimes you do have to inform the buyers of something that's gonna cause the transaction to get canceled, but hey, that's how it is. So talk to your local realtor, and they usually know what's happening. Like if someone comes to me right now and asks me, "Hey, Moises, our prices go down?" I'm like, based on what I see, that's not happening, and I can show him, "Hey, look, just look at this, 30 plus offers." So what does that tell you? That the market is still kind of aggressive. There is a lot of competition out there. So if you're looking for accurate information, number one, go to realtor.com. Number two, talk to your local realtor.
Given what we've discussed and taking it all into consideration, how can policymakers and industry stakeholders and even the public work together to address the affordability issue and ensure sustainable housing for solutions for everyone?
I think that is almost impossible, I would say, because the real estate market is a free market. So in a way, the consumer dictates what happens with the market. Sometimes people say, you know what, I really like that house, so offer this amount of money, and we as realtors, we have to do what the client tells us to do. So it is a free market. Nobody controls it except the companies that are trying to do that, but that is still not happening. Uh, but what can be done by, in a way, people who put policies in places? I don't think they can do a lot except for the things like the one I mentioned, which is foreclosures in California. now have to be bought by someone that's going to occupy the property and not by an investor, uh, which I think is good. That is good. Actually, right now we're also in a transaction where uh, no one. That's the opposite. First time home buyer can well, yeah, they can buy it under a conventional loan, but not under FHA, because that is called the flip rule, which is 90 days. For 90 days, a flip cannot be sold to a buyer that's coming with an FHA financing. It has to be conventional or cash. So there are things that are already in place to control precisely that. And sometimes those things work good. Sometimes they don't. But I think no one can do a lot about it to control in a way, because it's a free market.
Is there anything else that we need to that you'd like to mention that we haven't talked about with regards to the housing market or anything related to it?
Well, actually, there's a saying that actually there are two sayings. One of them is the best time to buy a house was 5 years ago. And if we look at what happened, 5 years ago, how what the prices were and what the prices are today, I think it's in a way a good saying. And the other saying is, don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait, because eventually it will go up. And that's what I would like to tell people: if they have what's needed to qualify to buy a house, to purchase their home, to go ahead and do it. There's no such thing as perfect time. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And what I tell people is, let's say prices go down, okay, but you already have your house, you already own your house. Eventually it's going to go up. Now let's say the opposite occurs, okay, as prices go up, you already have your house. So either way, you're going to win. Now, if you're planning to buy a house today to make a lot of money in the next couple of years, that's not going to happen. This is an investment, for long term. And one of the examples I put is a house that we sold in West LA. That person bought the house for $145,000 27 years ago, and he sold it 27 years later for 1.7 million. So if we look at the prices, that is 10 times, more than 10 times that he paid for it throughout the years. Now, if he wanted to make money out of it in the following 2 years, he was not gonna make a lot of money, probably $10,000, $15,000. But he waited, and he ended up making 10 times that he paid for it. So yeah, that's what I like to tell people. Um, there's no perfect time to buy a house. You qualify, go ahead and buy your house. That is the perfect time to buy. What's gonna happen tomorrow? Nobody knows.
All right, we've been speaking with Moises Olivares, a Southern California based realtor, on the state of the housing market here in the US and what home buyers should be on the lookout for when buying a home. Moises, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be here today and shedding light on this highly important topic.
No, thank you for having me here again, and it was a pleasure to be here.